nurses, or soldiers. They always go back. Yeah. Again, wartime, bro. Any servant or civil servant that was important in them times, we need to give the money to them. Shut up, man. Yo, shut up. Want more for yourself. These men are stealing from you in broad daylight.
Yeah.
They're stealing from you in every manner. Lizzie Lime was meant to open in 2018. It opened in 2022. Yeah. I know, man, that were contractors in that project. Them man made more money than they have ever seen in their lives, right? As well as their superiors. The superiors made bread.
Yeah.
Right? So you got that. You got the 2012 Olympics, over budget. You got HS2, over budget. You got the NHS track and trace system, 70 billion wasted, scrapped, but niggas got paid.
Yeah.
Bro, they're getting scammed, and them man are like, do you know what? Yes, all right. National insurance have gone up, still quiet.
Yeah.
Potholes in every single borough, still quiet. I'm like, what's it gonna take? I think what it's gonna take is like 50% of people being homeless. Because
if that,
you don't even have to know economics. You can know like local economics. And what I mean by local economics here is use your eyes and see how your area's changed. If you see more homeless people, it's long.
Yeah.
It's long for you. It's long for you because you're next.
I can't lie. I'm keeping all of this in. Like all of this.
That's calm.
Part in. But I'm keeping all that in because that's needed.
All of them man are next, bro.
I'm keeping that.
Like we're all one paycheck away.
Yeah, facts.
All of us.
Facts.
All of us.
Just hold that. Hold that.
Hold that.
Is we live? Yes, you're now tuned into the Red Podcast. Of course, I'm your host of the most, NK, aka the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. And I have a special guest. I've known this brother for years, but he's never actually been on the pod. And I'm happy this guy is finally making content.
Yeah, man.
Finally making content, man.
Finally
making content, man. We need your voice in these streets, man. But for those of you for the people out there who don't know, introduce yourself, bro. Tell the people who you are, man.
Yo, what's going on? My name's Afo, or Afolabi for my full name. I'm just a regular Don, man. I just talk in it. Like anything that I got on my mind, I talk about it. I care about my people, so I talk a lot about black issues. But then just community as a whole, man. That's my thing. Yeah, man, just trying to spread a word and make sure that people are aware of what's going on around the world in our local area. Yeah, man, that's a bit of me still.
What was the eureka moment that you said, you know what, I have to actually talk about this? Because I'm sure like these are conversations that you've been having in like private spaces. But what made you say, you know what, I need to pick up the phone and like vocalize these thoughts that I'm having?
Wow, that's a good question. Because I don't think I necessarily know what triggered me, but I think I'll probably say COVID. Yeah. COVID was when, it's not when I realized, but I think that's when I said, all right, do you know what? Yeah, I actually need to start saying something, because we as a people, just in general, like general public, especially in this country, we're being scammed, right? Like in broad daylight, right in front of us. Like money is getting, we all have less money, right? All of us have less money. Doesn't matter if you see somebody buying a zoo in Eden, yeah? We all have less money.
It might not even be a zoo.
Huh?
It might not even be a zoo.
It might not even be a zoo, bro. It's fake. The thing is fake, bro.
The thing is fake, bro. Like, a lot of these a zoo produce a limited amount of bottles a year.
Brother.
But every club across the country, across this city has a bottle of
zoo. Everyone has a zoo.
In disposal. Just regularly.
Yeah. So I was it was that COVID. I said, all right, we need to start speaking because we're being scammed. Like I was mentioning, like off the mic, right? Anybody that was paying attention to like COVID, when Matt Hancock was in charge of health, right? He was a health minister. 70, you can Google this. 70 billion was spent on the NHS track and trace system, and then it got scrapped. Right? Again, I work in IT, right? That's my profession. So I know IT contractors that were part of that project. The man got paid. Everybody got paid. They didn't have to give the money back, but 70 billion was spent on it and it got scrapped. NHS is one of the biggest, obviously it's one of the biggest institutions in this country. It's a part of the culture in this country as well. And so it's so easy for the people to be manipulated through that, because of course they want to maintain it. They want this system in place. And I honestly, game changer. It really is, right? But it's been abused so much by the elite that people that are in management, your middle management as well, them man are making so much bread, right? Obviously, that's why NHS England got scrapped.
Yeah.
Right? So they're making so much bread, right? We are all paying higher taxes. I opened my payslip on Thursday. I usually don't open my payslip. I opened it on Thursday, right? And I saw that my NI had gone up. I was pissed because I'm like,
Where's it going to?
where's this money going to?
Yeah.
Big up my borough though, because my borough, they're actually making changes in my area, my local area, right? But for the most part, when my parents live here, off their road, I've seen the same pothole for like the past 5 years. Easy, no change. So small things like that. I know people are like, you know, people are minding their business, doing their thing, right? But they don't realize that these things affect us.
Yeah.
I did sociology in GCSE and A level, right? For AS, right? And that's really when everything sparked for me.
Yeah.
Like actually, even before then, like my mum, I big up my mum and dad, right? What they do, is that every time they come home, my dad will bring the Metro home, and then my mum would bring the local newspaper because my mum was a post lady, so she used to post them, right? And so what I would do, like just consciously, I just read them, innit?
Yeah.
So I started reading and informing myself about what's going on in the world, and then that's when I started to build like a love for like geopolitics. Like I really enjoy understanding how the world works, because for me that makes you more informed, and then it makes you're aware of how these men are scamming us.
Yeah. I think I'll even hold myself accountable with this. I thought, especially when it comes to like our people, there's an apathy to politics.
Yeah.
There's a level of like disconnect because we feel like either our rights, our desires aren't being met on like a macro level.
Yeah.
However, I think local politics is where we can see the most change and we have the most impact.
Yeah.
How would you encourage somebody, you personally, like what would you say are the beginning steps for somebody who's kind of apathetic about politics but wants to really like inform themselves? Like, what resources would you recommend?
First of all, your local newspaper. Second of all, attend town halls in your borough, right? You know my boy Kelvin. You know Kelvin, right? You're gonna see him tomorrow. So Kelvin, he is a big advocate for social housing, right? And he asked me a question. He's like, bro, do you attend your town hall meetings in your borough? I was like, nah, I don't go to that. He's like, bro, that's where the changes are being made. He went there, he was the only young person there. There was bare like 60, 70-year-old white ladies that are there, that are voicing their opinions and affecting change in their borough. And it's like, what did I read? What did I read recently? 4 primary schools in Hackney are gonna close down. I'm like, are people aware of that? Is anybody really aware of that? Like, there were less children in the area. And primary schools are closing down. What about us that want to have children or want to settle down eventually, right? Where are we going to send our kids to school? Are we informed? Do we know about these things?
Yeah.
There's no appetite for local politics because, do you know, the thing is, first of all, I don't think people read their local newspapers. People are not really aware what happens in there. They don't attend these town halls. Do you know what I mean? And that's the first thing that we need to do. But you have to genuinely care. If you don't care, I can't.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what I say.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. And it's okay to feel this way, but you don't care about your local area. You don't. You don't really care about your community as much. As much as a lot of people like to yap about it, they don't. Because if you cared, you would actually be in these spaces and you would voice your opinion. You know, like my dad came to this country in 1998, right? In 98. And the way in which he came to the country, obviously, I was born here, my sisters were born here, my mum was born here as well, right? And so my mum already had the knowledge. She was like, right into the local MP, right? I don't know if other people were aware of that. You could do it that way as well. She went to the local MP, got my dad approved like that, came in 98, boom, right? Like, I don't know if people are aware of that information or if they know that there are other means. Like, of course, fill out the application and go through the immigration process and whatnot. I'm not really aware of that. I don't know too much about that. But like the fact that my mum had that information, that's the only reason she had that information is because she's tapped into the community. The people around her helped her, right? My mum's best friend, she met her on the school run. She's dropping me and my sisters at school, bump into her. They've been friends for over 20 years. Yeah. That's community. My mum was a post lady, right? So she used to start like 5 a.m. in the morning So we'd have to go to a friend's house in the local estate, right? Stay there. And then when it's time to go to school, we'll go to school together. That's the power of community. I don't know if that is something that is prominent in the times that we live in now.
Community, that was a great quote. I can't remember who said it, but community requires inconvenience.
Yeah.
In order to build community, you have to be able to it requires a level of inconvenience. It requires a level of you putting something before yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like in this era of, very much what's the word? I'm not saying self-improve. Everyone's very much focused on themselves. Everyone's very much that's individualism.
Yeah.
Individualism is hyper prioritized.
Yeah.
In terms of and in some aspects, we're seeing a lot of people excelling in corporate environments, people excelling in jobs. When it comes to building foundations, community, that part's lacking.
Yeah.
Because community requires you to, hey, do you know what? I've got to sacrifice a bit of my time here.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got to do this. And a lot of people are just so hyper fixated on their individual success that the greater community falls down. And again, this is one of these things where like this is a result of just hyper capitalism.
Yes, 100%. And when you marry that with the geographical location now as well, that doesn't help either. So like I've got friends that are settled down now, right? And so a lot of them have moved. Like I'm from Southeast. I'm from South London. That's Southeast London, right?
Yeah.
A lot of my friends have moved to like Kent, right? So that community that we had, it's not there as much. I'm not saying we're not brethrens, but it's like, all right, when I have kids, because I don't live in London either. Like I live in Kent as well. But like, how are we gonna do that? The kids aren't even gonna be in the same catchment area. They're not even gonna go to school together. So how do we do this now?
And there's a level of like, it's funny because like growing up, right, I'm sure there was like aunties and uncles that your parents weren't too fond of, but they chill around them. You used to question, why is that happening?
Yeah.
But then you deep, okay, let's say we all go in church together. There'll be that one auntie who's got the big truck.
Yeah.
And, let me pick you guys up on the way to go to church.
Yeah.
And so, and there are people, for example, when there's a funeral happens, there'll be an auntie that cooks over there.
Yeah.
I think not everyone in the community you need to be buddy with.
Yeah.
But I feel like they had an understanding of the bigger whole.
Yeah.
Whether, hey, let's all go to church together. We might not be buddy, but we're going for spiritual enlightenment.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know what? I need someone to babysit my kids. Oh, my kids can play with your kids. They're building that community within the culture.
Yeah.
Hey, you're Congolese, I'm Congolese. Let's build like a mini Congolese tribe here so our children can be more immersed in the culture. But I feel like right now, again, a lot of people, we live in like a hyper individual culture where it's like, if I don't like you, I'ma cut you off. Fuck your existence. And it's like, don't get me wrong, if you don't be around people that you dislike, but sometimes the greater whole of community needs to be prioritized over your sometimes petty individual feelings.
Like I was thinking about, my school was right next to Kent, right? My secondary school was next to Kent, right? And all the blacks, right, we were coming from different parts of South London to attend this school. And we all used to chill together. From year 7, you could count us. There's probably like, in my year, there's probably maybe 40, 50 of us, but we were always in the same space. I'm fearful of when I settle down, if I settle down in the area that I'm living in right now, like how many more are my children going to see themselves in other people? Are they going to have that community? Because honestly, us all being together through those 5 years of secondary school got us through it, right? I don't know if our children are going to experience the same thing. I almost feel as if they're going to be isolated because, like, I feel like a lot of people our age who are settling down and having children, they prioritize education over community, right? And I think you need to find a balance. Where I live, and where I grew up, there's a lot of grammar schools, right? My parents wanted me to attend a grammar school. So I had to do something called the 11 plus, right? I didn't get into the grammar school. But like, that is what they prioritized. Now, had I have gone to one of those schools, I would have been one of the very few black people in those spaces. I don't know how that would have changed me as a person, right? Because even, you see our parents here, they don't think about race as much as we do because they don't experience what we do. They're not in the spaces where other young people preside in, right? And so our experience and our exposure to our race is way bigger than whatever they've experienced because their thing was tribalism, right? Ours is racism.
Yes.
That's what we see living in London.
I was literally having my conversation with my dad literally around Easter about this, and for them, from my dad's experience and the aunties and uncle that were present in the conversation, their first priority was like, listen, I'm an outsider in this country, but at the end of the day, and big up one of my boys, the storyteller, he made an amazing video about the diaspora wars between Afro-Caribbeans and Caribbeans and Africans that came into the UK, right? And when our parents' generation came into the country, what were the headlines saying? Caribbean people are this, that, you know, hypersexualized, you know, job, whatever, just, you know, vigilantes of society, right? So what that does is that already, okay, you're trying to make a better way for yourself in this country, but there's already a stigma of the black people that are already here. So the people that came here are like, do you know what, I don't want to be associated with them. I kind of, so, okay, I'm in an attempt to distance themselves from those negative stereotypes, they point the finger. And then what that happens is creates segregation.
It's created that in our even in our age range as well. And you know, as far as I'm concerned, this is just an opinion. I don't have any facts to back this up here. But I feel because of that stigma, what we are doing is that we are creating a black bourgeoisie within the black British community. That's what we're doing now because we're like, well, those guys, they're the bad blacks. We're the good blacks. And we're the rich blacks as well. You know? That's why for me, I'm not the biggest fan of like career and finance content.
I don't like
online because not to say that it's not useful information, but what I feel as if it does subconsciously is that it creates the notion that this is how you are accepted as a black man and black woman in society if you are attempting to, you know, achieve an elite status within your career, or you're attempting to acquire a certain amount of capital, you know, because that will now give you the elite black card in society. And for me, I'm like, that's bullshit, man. We gotta stop that. I am black because I'm black. I don't think anybody needs to acquire excellence or acquire that excellent status in life. You can if you want to, but you are still one of us, regardless of that, because we don't have enough positions for that. Let's say, all right, cool. You want to be a lawyer, right? And you need to get a training contract. First of all, in terms of black people, there's 3 million of us in this country. There's 3 million of us. There's not going to be enough. There's not enough roles in law or finance or tech for us to all be able to have those roles. So what happens to those that don't get it? Are they no longer excellent? Like, what are we doing? What kind of issues are we creating by, you know, sticking these labels on one another? Like, this is nonsense.
I think it's one of these things where like financial prosperity won't save the community.
It won't.
Right? A lot of people will have the concept of, hey, if I'm rich, I'll buy the hood.
Yeah.
But if you take that logic to its fullest extent, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
One, you make a certain amount of money. Let's say, like, you know, you're earning, you know, in the, let's say, top 5%, in top 5% out, right? Top 10% out. The first thought is I want to buy a house. Or buying a house in London's not feasible. I gotta go out. I gotta go out. So already the same community that you're trying to save, you've distanced yourself from them completely. You're out there. Then okay, do you know what? I want a better education for my child. Can't do that. These state funded schools. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go private school. Okay, cool. It's not a lot of black kids here, but he'll be all right. He'll get a good education. Isolated from the community again.
Like that, just like that.
Like that. And then now your child, you can still find black. I'm not saying you can't find your blackness in private schools, but it becomes harder when you're not surrounded by people of your community, because now You'll get now a lot of these young boys are being called young girls and young dark skin girls are being called DDA Drogba by some random kid from Eton.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And all of these things, all of these steps to elevate yourself and elevate your immediate circle, fine. I'm not stopping nobody trying to get their bread.
True that. Yeah.
But these attempts of financial prosperity saving the wider community, it doesn't happen. It takes, like you said, communal things. It takes the little Pan-African Sunday school. It takes these, and it takes all of us working inside the community.
Yeah.
Leaving the community doesn't help the community. It just means
doesn't.
you did what you did for you, and which is fine. But again, a lot of people come under the pretense of, oh, I'm doing this. My success is a symbol to the community that we could do better. And it's like, not necessarily.
I think people don't see that they're aligning themselves with whiteness.
Yes.
More than anything. It's not about your individual success or the accolades that you may acquire during your rise in career or whatever, right? You are aligning yourself with whiteness. And then that's when your views start to change. And that's when you look at your community a certain way, especially when you're outside of it, especially when your geographical location is not even amongst black people in any capacity. That's where you have people developing self-hatred about themselves because they've eradicated themselves from the space. And I think, for me, I'm prioritizing that over my children's education or even my financial prosperity. Because for me, that's going to keep me more sane. There's joy. There's more joy in community than any amount of money that you can acquire.
I think a lot of us have to confront our internalized anti-blackness.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's an uncomfortable conversation because it's like, what do you mean I have internalized anti-blackness? No. I've got a black wife, I've got black friends. Like, it's like, and like, I'm with my people. But because some of the people, it's the way we look upon certain, there's a lot of classism there. Yeah. There is a lot of classism in a lot of us will achieve a certain level of prosperity and be like, damn, I'm better than you because you man are still shotting. Like, I'm better than you. And don't get me wrong, we can critique the act without it being an indictment on the entire community. Yeah. I'm not saying that certain acts should be glorified. However, I feel like a lot of people put the onus on, hey, if I did it or if he made it out of the hood, why can't you? And it's like, are we forgetting that there are systems in place that literally prevent us from doing certain things, or we achieve certain things at the cost of, again, our community? And I feel like the finance bro content, I'm not a fan of it because I also think it's red pill adjacent. It's 100%. I also think the finance, I've seen too many. I saw a lot of these finance bros now start to deviate into red pill, small content, which I'm just like, nah. For me, it's an interesting relationship with capitalism, especially like as someone in the creative industry. I'm looking at some of these things where it's like, okay, like God willing, I want to get brand deals. God willing, I want to work with these corporations. However, how much blood do these corporations have on their hands? Right. And me endorsing them, does that make me implicit? Yeah. And it goes like, the whole Stormzy McDonald's thing, and it's like, it's of course, like because you can do the whole ladder. Hey, I worked at Carphone Warehouse. Does that mean in a capitalist in a society we live in, right? We have to gain some sort of capital. Yeah. And we are all complicit in some way, shape, or form. Yes. However, there are levels to the complicity. And I feel the more, like, essentially, like, the more money they're willing to pay you, is the question of, if they're paying you more, does that make you more complicit? It's a weird moral conundrum that I don't have the answers to, but it's a question that I have. And it's a question that kind of irritates me and irks me because I don't know what to do. Yeah. Because yes, it's easy to say just be a martyr and live a nomadic life. Yeah. However, that doesn't fulfill me. You can't if you live in the Western world, you can't be a martyr. Yeah. Like it's damn near impossible. Yeah. Right. I got like two responses to your question.
I think the first one is that everybody's moral compass is different, right? What we are willing to stomach is different, right? And so that's why I find it very hard to point the finger at anybody, especially that Stormzy thing, right? Now, don't get me wrong, yeah? That's a terrible look. Terrible look. Especially somebody who was on Men's Fitness like a month beforehand and then you're with McDonald's. That don't make sense. His team are bugging there. That was silly, right? That's the first thing, right? But the second thing is that in some shape or form, right, we are complicit to the suffering of somebody in other parts of the world, right?
Yeah.
I like to regard myself as a former sneakerhead, right? And I remember back in the day when I was younger, I never understood what I was reading, but I knew there was something. It had something to do with something, right? So I'd look at the tag on my crepes, right, on my trainers, and it'd say made in Bangladesh, made in Pakistan, made in Vietnam, right? And then I remember in PHSE, I learned that's why I was taught that it's like 10, 20p to make a trainer, and that's how much they're getting paid as well. But the markup on it, it's like £60, 60, £70 back then. Now,
ridiculous.
Now it's ridiculous. You're paying 200-300% the amount of what it cost, and that's what you're spending on it. And sneakerheads, people that are like, that are looking to buy these crepes, these rare crepes, right? They're spending obscene amounts of money on it. And so that is my conundrum, because it's so easy to point the finger at Stormzy, and because he has a spotlight on him, and because
it's contradictory to his own statements that he's made.
Yeah, but we are all contradictory. We all do. We all participate in fast fashion. We all participate in we'll go to fast food restaurants and we'll buy plastic, and then some people just throw it on the floor. And where do you think that's gonna end up?
True. But
do you know what I mean?
What you're saying is true. However, some people may say like, hey, but at some point there has to be a level of, I know this word has been bastardized, but I'm using it for accountability.
Yeah.
In terms of, okay, if we just say we're all complicit, does that mean we just drop standards?
No, we don't drop standards, but it's more about, again, I'm going to bastardize it as well. It's accountability, right? But how accountable are we to ourselves before we point the finger at somebody else? That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying what he did was correct. It wasn't, right? It's just a stupid PR move, in my opinion, right? Regardless of what the research that he did. I'm a big Stormzy fan as well, so I don't even like the way that I'm even chatting about him like that. But he could say that he did his research, and it could come out the McDonald's bought all the franchises in Israel and whatever, right? But bro, that is a bad look. Regardless, you don't make a move like that. Your research was flawed. Yes, we're gonna have to hold you accountable, but then for us ourselves, because he's in the spotlight, it's so easy to do that, bro. Yeah. But for us, we'll just continue living our lives. Well, I'm poor, innit? Well, I can't. No, you can still make change. That's where community comes in as well, bro. We just spoke about community requires sacrifice, right? As a global community, right? Are we looking after this world? Not really, no. We just point the finger at people that are, that have a spotlight on them, and then we don't do anything about ourselves.
Speaking of community, and I feel like I wanted to talk on this topic because I saw it online. I'm sure you saw the whole Box Park hand thing, right? The guy lip-syncing in Box Park.
Oh yeah.
The conversation's going somewhere, don't worry. But I feel like we've low-key turned into a surveillance state.
100%.
And I feel like it's quite insidious, because I feel like, cool, the fact that you could go to a party, and yes, what he was doing was he was wilding, of course. However,
was he?
He was wild in the sense of, it's not just kissing in the party is not a problem. Yeah. It's the grinding on the walls. It's a bit.
Why?
Because I feel like that's foreplay.
Hey, but close this to one, brother. You see me, foreplay. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem, because the reason why I believe everyone else has a problem is because they're not enjoying themselves. They don't have that one person that they can.
There is an element of shame to it.
Yeah, there's shame, and it's not required. It's not needed. If every man and woman had their own little thing going on in their party, they're not going to pay attention to that. Even with what happened at Usher's concert, right?
The cherries.
the cherries.
I don't think it's wrong. I think the thing that makes it wrong again is because people are posting it, and
Yeah.
what happens is that everybody goes to these motives hyper conscious
Yeah.
of the fact that they are being perceived.
Yeah.
Hyper conscious of
Yeah.
the fact that their content, just forget even bystanders. Them being there
Yeah.
will be used
Yeah.
as promo.
Promo, yeah.
Will be used as, even if you're looking leng,
Yeah.
your looking leng doesn't just exist in the motive. No,
Yeah.
it exists on posters.
Yeah.
It exists in marketing videos.
Yeah.
And it's this weird thing. And obviously that is a business thing. But
Yeah.
it's this weird thing where we are willingly turning into a surveillance state.
Yeah.
Because everybody is out there, not just going to a party to enjoy, going to a party to post that they're there,
Yeah.
and then potentially post a clip that will send them viral.
Yeah.
Because the people recording it knew exactly what they were doing.
Do you see the girl on the floor? She was recording it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's we are literally turning into Big Brother.
It's weird because people just don't know how to enjoy themselves without having to pull out their phones and film other people. Because for them, it's like a little joke. It's like, oh, I want to shame this person whilst they're enjoying themselves in their space. They don't see anybody else, right? And I feel like the issue that we have, you see, when I go out, when I go out, I don't pull my phone out. I don't want to pull my phone out. If anything, I'm just going to capture a little clip and that's it. Put the phone away because I want to be in the moment. People have lost the art of being in the moment, and instead, it's they want to showcase that they're at that event because it's a popular one, right? DLT, Recess, any of Room 187 or R&B and slow jams. Everybody wants to show that. Listen, look, I'm here. I'm at this lit event, But instead of just enjoying the moment, we've lost that.
I think we've definitely lost the I just think it's crazy how, like, because we complain, oh my god, like party culture's dead, and it's like I don't like to do this where, back in the day, because I wasn't there. I'm only speaking from trickle down stories from people who were there. I wasn't there. However, I don't think it's impossible to imagine a time where people were at parties and were being careful. We know people used to go to parties and sweat.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
People used to go to parties and sweat.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
they don't want to sweat.
They don't want to sweat. They don't want to dance. They want to, and again, because they are being perceived.
Yeah.
And it's one of these things. Shame is a very interesting thing. It's a hive mind.
Yeah.
Something could be considered cool now, shameful tomorrow.
Yeah.
The simple music, right, at its basic function at a party, you're there to dance.
To dance.
We're not choreographers.
Yeah.
We're not backup dancers.
Yeah.
Who says we have to dance well?
Yeah.
If somebody dances off beat, off rhythm,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But somebody dancing off beat, off rhythm, they will be called the mad person for participating and doing what the music is intended to do.
Why is the dance floor always empty? Why is it always a big circle?
Moreover, why is it considered a bad thing to be in the dance floor, but a great thing to be isolated in the table?
Bro, I don't understand.
I've
never understood.
Oh,
you're gonna get me mad now. I've seen this in I've been two specific parties that I went to that it was so glaring, right? So one of my friends, right, she had her 30th. Like, she's like big in like the content creation space, right? So I went to her 30th. The dance floor is empty. She's there in the middle dancing with her girls, all of that, right? I come in, I'm on a hype, because I don't care anymore now. Like, I'm enjoying myself. I come in, I'm dancing as well, and then you just see a circle of people just looking. I'm like, guys, it's a party. Dance, enjoy yourself. Shame culture is eradicating our creativity within the black community.
Because I'm not even gonna pretend like I'm holier than thou. I like to cut a rug. I like to dance. Right?
No, you cut a rug for real.
Yeah,
I cut a rug.
I like to cut a rug. Yeah. I like to cut a rug. But in the back of my mind, there is a glaring thought of, oh my god, I'm being perceived.
Yeah. But then you have to ask yourself, okay, so why? Why are you being perceived, and why do you care?
Because I feel like I want to dance. I want to express myself.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be a viral moment.
Yeah.
Oh my God, am I moving mad? Like, am I moving too much? Am I doing much? Am I doing, I'm not gonna self snitch, but no. But I remember. Okay, no, I've been to dances where you're dancing with like a young lady, right?
Yeah, yeah.
and perfectly normal, perfectly fine. There's been times I've gone to the man. Am I doing too much?
Yeah.
For simply
Yeah, for
dancing.
dancing.
Because it's a way. I've been socially programmed to think
Yeah.
that this is wrong.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Because it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Even what happened to DJ saying everybody dance.
Oh, the fact that the DJ has to tell you to dance, it's an issue.
It is an issue.
That's an issue.
But I don't think that happens anymore. DJ like, yo.
DJ don't even say anything.
Don't say anything.
Don't say anything. I know why the man them do it. The man them want to look cool in front of the gal.
Yeah.
Because, listen, if a man has seen a girl that he wants to move to, yeah, in the dance, right, he's eyed her, right? Okay, cool. Don't do anything crazy that might, embarrass yourself and then she won't be on you, like, be cool. The real formula is to be yourself. If you're sweating, it's calm, bro. It's cool. If she don't like you for the fact that you're able to express yourself on the dance floor, right, then she's not even worth it. I know, man, and I don't like this, when we go out, yeah, they are so focused. It's gal. I've never understood that. Like, I've paid to enjoy the music.
Facts.
I've paid for entrance into that environment. And you mean to tell me the one thing I'm focused on is gal? Well, I'm not going to dance. Well, I'm not going to, like, hype up the crowd. Like, no, I'm not doing any of that. It's just to move to gal.
But you can tell, I just came to, you can tell the change, the evolution in, like, party etiquette through music and music videos. I'll tell you why. Look at the 2000s.
Yeah.
Look at every R&B singer, what they're doing in the video.
Dancing in the club.
Look at videos now. It's a guy sitting on the couch, a girl's twirling around him, and he's doing stoicism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you know why? Because the man them don't like to express themselves. So, like, the videos are basically showing us this is what it is.
He's doing stoicism. Like,
Yeah.
every, and that is kind of an encapsulation of what, like, party culture has become. It's become completely, I feel like bottle culture has killed clubs.
Yeah.
I feel like in terms of not doing too much, I feel like the phrase "act like you've been there before" has done irreparable damage. I feel like act like it's a funny phrase, and I've used it bare times, but you haven't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you haven't. Like, if you're an 18-year-old, you literally haven't been there before.
Yeah.
If you've met a woman that you think is stunning, she's stunning.
Go and tell her.
Go and tell her. Like, I'm not trying to do too much. No, like, obviously, manners,
Yeah.
etiquette, respect, consent. Like, and I feel like a lot of man them feel like those two things are diametrically opposed. Like, you can't express yourself without violating boundaries. You can.
Do you know? Because they haven't been taught. They don't know how to. Like, this is why fathers are important. Like, if you're gonna have children, make sure you're in your children's lives.
Yeah.
Because the fact, and you can even have, your father can be in your life and he may not actually be there emotionally.
Facts.
And so they're losing key moments in their growth and education as men. And so when they are now adults and they immerse themselves into society, they don't know how to conduct themselves.
No. And I think because, especially when it comes to, like, masculinity and stuff, like, masculinity is very, like, goal oriented.
Yeah.
It's very, like, end product based.
Yeah.
Right? And going back to some of your boys, and even some of, like, my boys, I know, when they go to a motive, they're going with an objective.
Yeah.
Numbers, gal, nyash.
Yeah.
Anything outside of that objective is superfluous.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if I enjoy it. I'm gonna get, for example, work. Doesn't matter if I like my job, we're gonna get this bread.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if I like the music, we're gonna get this nyash. Regardless. And I thought it creates, like, a very detached form of expression.
Yeah.
And it creates entitlement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like, it's like there's a lot of, like, it's weird because a lot of these things that we do, like, casually, socially, like, they're indicators of a wider mindset.
Yeah.
And I feel like just in terms of, it goes back to like the idea of like expression, especially when it comes to men.
Yeah.
Why don't men want to dance?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do like
Yeah.
it's not the thing.
Yeah.
It all comes back to these big buzzwords that I know man them don't like. Patriarchy.
Yep.
I know the man them are
They
sick
don't
of
like
it.
it,
They
man.
don't like it. But I feel like we have to call it what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you feel uncomfortable admitting that you may like you like someone or you like something, or this is how you choose to express yourself?
I think because the power of the vulnerability is not in alignment with what masculinity looks like today in society. Have you ever fell in love in a club? Because I know I have.
Bro.
I've fallen in love in a club, but
Nah, bro,
you
can't be doing that, bro.
no, yes you can, yes you can, yes you
no,
can.
you can't be. You have to act like you've been here before, bro.
No.
You see what I mean?
You
Yeah,
see?
yeah.
Like I've fallen in love in the club, but the only way in which you can do that, is you just got to be vulnerable in that moment. You go to the girl, like you're dancing, you're enjoying each other. There's a level of vulnerability that happens in that moment. Now you're close. That doesn't happen anymore.
Because everybody is looking at things in a hyper transactional fashion.
Right.
Man ain't buying no drink for a girl unless she's coming back with me.
Yeah, unless she's coming back with me.
Bro, man, I'm not a dickhead. Red to I'm not a dickhead, bruv. Like, no. Why am I chatting to you unless you're trying to...
Yeah.
Like, everything is transactional. And vulnerability requires you to... Vulnerability is being present without a desired outcome.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to be just in the moment. When you go to a rave, you enjoy the music. Yeah, my desired outcome is I want to have a good time.
Yeah.
But how the good time manifests is out of my control.
Exactly.
But I feel like a lot of man them like, and again, I'm gonna shoot them some bell because it's like it is. You don't know what you don't know. But a lot of the times we have to unlearn the expectation of, hey, I'm leaving with some.
Yeah. No. Sometimes you may not get anything, and that's okay.
That's fine.
But did you enjoy yourself on that night out? I feel like men can learn so much by going out and being in the clubs and being social.
Bro, do you know what I've started doing this year? Going to events by myself.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Bro, and some of the big up Daniel, big up Discord. Right?
Oh, Daniel, yeah. Big up Daniel.
I was at Discord literally the other day, right? Went with myself, it was a Frank Ocean day, right? There's a vid, bro. There was a guy I met at the Kendrick Lamar one. Saw him again the next time. Never, like, don't know this guy from Adam. Don't know him from nowhere. We were linked arm in arm, singing Frank Ocean to a room of people we don't know. That would be considered by social media standards doing too much.
Yeah.
But that connection I was able to make with another man through music.
Yeah.
And the song was vulnerable. So what song was it? Self-Control.
Yeah.
That connection there, that experience I had, I only experienced because one, I went there with an open mind.
Yeah.
I was able to be present and vulnerable in the scenario, and I gained such an important scenario. It doesn't matter if he, if we don't talk again. It doesn't matter if he doesn't put me onto his Fortune 500 company. It doesn't matter.
Nah.
That experience I had is greater than... And that experience I had is enough. It's more than enough. It's fulfilled me. But I feel like a lot of people even build friendships based off, hey, where can this person get me?
Yeah.
Where instead of like emotional enrichment, it's like, okay, cool. What? All my niggas need to be earning this amount of money. Why? Nah, cause so we can. Cool. Elevation's important. But what about your emotional growth? Instead of reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, read a book about empathy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like, especially like man, then we need to like normalize like not just financial evolution but emotional development.
Yeah.
Or like growth.
But I think in order for us to get to that point, there has to be an agreement from everybody in the community that emotional development is important as well. Because let's be honest, yeah. Let's be honest. There were some women in the community that value financial status over emotional development.
Facts.
Because if he doesn't earn a certain amount of money,
but do you know what? Yeah,
it's not gonna bang.
Do you know what? I look at them. Yeah, this is gonna be I can't find another way to describe it. I'm gonna be. I look at them the same way I look at like black people who are coons. Hear me out.
I agree with you. I agree with you anyway.
They are victims to a wider system. So black people who are coons who obviously are people who are racist.
Yeah.
People who have internalized anti-blackness.
Yeah.
Anti-blackness has come from a system of white supremacy and same thing with women. Patriarchy has conditioned women are this, men are that.
Yeah.
And those women who parrot those talking points have inherited those talking points from the system of patriarchy.
Yeah.
They are important because I feel like I don't see the value in telling a 12-year-old you're the man of the house today. I don't see the value in telling a 5-year-old big boys don't cry. I don't see the value in that. And I've seen parents, mothers parrot those things, which is bad. But I think they are a cog of a wider system.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like we set the precedent as men because obviously like it's a thing that directly affects us. And I feel like we shouldn't, if we see people like that, we shouldn't empower those voices.
Yeah.
In terms of, hey, do you know what, Missy, you don't think I'm a real man because I might shed a tear.
Yeah.
I was even gonna do it myself. I was gonna say I had
Thug
to say
tear.
thug tear.
Yes.
Why? Why? I just caught myself. I said, why? Why do I have to masculinize emotion? I just did it right now.
We literally all have emotion.
Yeah.
And we've just decided.
I just said a thug tear because I'm still a man.
Yeah.
No. I am a human being who should be able to access the wide array of my emotions.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't fit your requirements of what a man should be, hey, take my patronage somewhere else. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like once because obviously, don't get me wrong, as men we love companionship. Human interaction is romantic companionship is something that we value.
Yeah.
A lot. As much as we try to do nah man, I'm chilling. I ain't trying to no girl. You're hurt because you can only be hurt by somebody you let in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can only be hurt by somebody
Yeah.
you want commitment from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But do you know, a lot of men don't even admit that. They don't even like. I struggle with it as well. Like, what? I'm like, nah, I'm cool, man. I'm chilling right now. I ain't even really chatting to nobody right now. But like, more time, I'm probably thinking about the time I got hurt. And so my reason for not talking to any women right now is because I'm scared that I'm going to get hurt again.
Yeah.
And so I masculinize that ideal that I'm not even. What are women right now, man? Nah, man. Loud. Focus on my bread. Getting my bread up.
Cool.
Who am I spending it on? Nobody. But
it's so funny because it's a cycle. Because okay, fuck the women are focusing on my bread. Okay, now I've made the bread my selling point, and I'm attracted people that only want the bread. But I'm upset that people don't value me as a human being when I've prioritized the bread and not my emotions. Yeah, and like it's like you've. I think madam get it's a very interesting thing. Madam get to a point where, of course, like you wanna achieve economic evolution and stuff, so on and so forth. You get to a point where all you focus is on the bread.
Yeah.
All you advertise is the bread. And then what comes to you is people that only want the bread.
Yeah.
But you want to be known as a human being. But how can somebody know you as a human being where the only selling point you've put out there is the bread?
Yeah. I'll be real. I'll say I don't even think I've spoken about this before, right? I remember I was dating this girl, right, and I did the exact same thing. Like I made it clear to her, like nah, like not consciously, because she's the one that called me out on it, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I got a little bit of peas. I got peas on me. Like I did it twice on our first date, right? And I remember when we were about to pay, when I was about to pay, she was gonna pay for it. She's like, Afro, you don't need to mention all the time that you got peas, right? Like, I'm on a date with you because of who you are and not because of what you have. And that caught me. It stung. Initially, it stung because it's like, raw, like, you're hurting my pride here,
bro.
You know? But I needed to hear that so much.
Bro.
I needed to hear that.
Because essentially, you are performing masculinity.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's been so many times where, like, I've I've been in the same scenario. I remember I was out, like, I took the girl out right to she was like, oh, like, Five Guys, cool. She paid for the Five Guys. I was like, no, like, let me do it. Let me
pay for
And I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I actively working against my own interest?
Yeah.
For the performance of Mr. Macho.
Yeah.
And for the like, it's like, I feel like patriarchy is a burden that them are willingly putting on themselves.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's certain like acts of masculinity that I do I do like taking care of the people around. But is that inherently masculinity, or is that just community? You take care of the people who are around you.
It depends on the heart. Where does it come from as an individual? Because I know where it came from for me. I knew it was, yes, I do care about my people. I do want to be able to provide and support in some capacity.
Yeah.
But I knew in my heart of heart, it's because, I need to solidify my position as a man, right? And that comes with paying for everything. And I don't have to, like, she can pay for some things, like, I have to accept that. Like, why can't money be spent on me? I'm asking myself this, but I'll probably do the opposite and still be like, no, I need to solidify myself as a man, and I need to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. As a man, ...
Yeah.
That's just it. As
Yeah.
a man, ...
We uphold that patriarchy, and it affects us.
Yeah.
But we're like, nah, I need to show my worth. My worth is based on what I can provide, and that's it. Even though we're having this conversation now and we're conscious about it, our behavior will probably say different.
Bro, like I said, we like going back to implicit, like, are we complicit? We are, like, it's one of these things where we are complicit, even though we recognize there's a problem. But I feel like the first step to solving a problem is admitting it's a problem.
Yeah.
And I feel like these conversations need to happen a lot more. Because at first I was like, like, even me, like, because we're going to wrap up soon, but even me, like, I was like, do you know what? I do want to have this conversation. I was like, I want more people to have this conversation, but not me though. Not me. Like, I want to be seen a certain way. Like, I'm gonna keep my podcast as, the pop culture podcast. And it's mostly still gonna stay that. But I just felt like I just wanted to have a real conversation, like, man to man, and I feel like your platform was like, it's Afro. It has to be Afro.
Yeah, thank you.
It has to be because you like just the political conversations you're having. But I feel like you're not coming at it from a way that's like, I'm smarter than you, condescending.
Nah.
You're a man bearing his soul.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is so important, and that's why, like, I wanted to have you on the podcast, bro.
Thank you, bro. But I feel like a lot of men don't realize that that's their superpower. Like, vulnerability is powerful because it says so much. Expressing our frustrations and our weaknesses will make us stronger. But men don't want to do that because they think that weakness is not something that should be projected. Because then how do we learn? If I'm not vulnerable, if you're not bringing me on this pod or talking about it in general, then how do the next generation grow and become better as men, right? Like, I don't want my children to inherit the behavioral patterns of our parents. I'm basically like the shield, right? I've learned what I needed to. I've gone through the fire. I've made so many mistakes. I want to show them those mistakes so that they don't inherit it. And so that they're better. Because that's the natural progression of life, So as men, if we're not having these open conversations and then we're having children, we're destroying them. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to contribute to that. I want in my way, I want to be able to have a positive impact on society. And that means, bearing my heart, being vulnerable, telling them these are the things that I've gone through and this is how you can be better. I even wanted to add, like, quickly. A lot of people talk about...
Quickly, yeah.
Oh, go on.
Okay, go.
Quickly, yeah?
Yeah, quickly, yeah.
A lot of people talk about, like vulnerability and black excellence and all of that, right? Yeah. I remember when I got made redundant, I was working at Amazon for 3 months, yeah? I worked at Amazon. I was like, yo, I need money. I'm not going to now shy away from it just because, people are going to perceive me a certain way. Like, do what you need to do. Don't go on the roads and start getting squares and doing up forward. That's not going to do anything for you. Yeah. Like, be vulnerable and just go and jog because you have to. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a job. It doesn't make you mediocre. In fact, that actually makes you excellent. But yeah, that's it, man.
Bro, appreciate you having on, man. This is I like genuinely. I feel like this one is gonna be one of my favorite episodes of the year because it's one of these conversations that I feel like I've wanted to have, man. But tell the people where they can find you at. Tell the people what you got going on, man.
Follow me on TikTok. What is my TikTok? It's Afro_B. I actually relaunched my podcast with my boy Michael, the Point Podcast. We talk about everything in regards to society. So like the conversation that we've had today, we have similar conversations on our podcast. Follow us everywhere on socials, the Point Podcast. On TikTok, it's like Megan Thee Stallion, so the podcast, the Point Podcast. Yeah, man, I'm out here. I'm doing my thing, man. But yeah, thank you for having me on, bro.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro.
Bro, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Help us get to 10K on TikTok. We're very close. Help us get to 10K. But yeah, man, this has been an amazing episode of the Red Podcast. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. And please, man, especially men, everyone can comment, but man, them in the comment sections, man, talk to us, man. Talk to us. I feel like this whole episode's been about community, and this is one big community, man. So talk to us, man. But we signing out. Deuces. Catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace, man.
Bro.